Just Chris Carson's been really involved in the passing game in these first couple of games. I know he started to get more involved maybe last year, but what have you seen out of him? We know him as a runner, but as a pass catcher, he's already got 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, I mean, I think Chris Carson's one of the best football players in the National Football League. I think he can run it, he can catch it, he can block, he can do it all. And I'm just glad he's on our team, that's for sure. He brings a certain fire and passion to the game, and just he's a great teammate. Honestly, he's put all the work in, and obviously him coming off a tough injury and everything else, and just how his attitude and his focus has been unbelievable. And so, especially with everything that's gone on, I know he had a tough offseason and everything else. Personally, and I think he's approached everything at the highest level. So I have, the highest amount of regard for who he is and who he is as a teammate and also as a person.
Ben Arthur?
Hey, Russ, I was wondering if you saw the grand jury's decision in the Breonna.
Up a little bit? Hold on 1 second, Ben. Just want to make sure I can hear you good.
Yeah, no worries.
Okay, there you go.
Hello?
Yeah, that's a little better. That's a little better, yeah.
All right, cool. I was just wondering if you saw the Kentucky grand jury's decision in the Breonna Taylor case yesterday, and if so, what your reaction to it was.
Ben, it's devastating. That a young black woman that hanging out in her own house, just kind of resting there and stuff like that. To be, in my opinion, murdered just for no real reason at all is terrible, and just for nobody to really be charged by it. It's just there's no excuse for that. I think that what I believe is that we need to vote. We need to make sure that we vote here in the next, I think it's 40 days or so, however many days it is exactly, in making sure that we make a difference in this country, because something's got to change. And all the protesting and stuff, it matters for sure, and it makes a difference. And I think it's definitely changed a lot of corporations, a lot of people's thought process, makes people think for sure. But also we have to do our part in terms of making sure that everyone's voting, black and white. No matter where you're from, it's important to vote. And I think that we need to make a change. And in terms of the system of racism and everything else, and just how some of these situations happen, I think it's a tragedy, obviously, and it's been going on for many years, and I just pray that something can change. And I go back to me personally. Like I told you guys before, I go back to my faith. I just really pray that we can all dig into our hearts and just try to make a difference in this world, and that's one step to doing that.
Thank you.
Masvida.
Hey, Russell. Just talking football here. Your red zone. Can you just talk about the efficiency you guys have had in the red zone, and how much of that is that mentality and just that will to be efficient down there?
Yeah, I think every time we get in the red zone, we want to make sure that we score and find ways to score touchdowns. And so many guys are touching the football and making plays. So that's the great thing. It's not just one guy. It's everybody's touching the football, which is really special. And so I think for us, we want to be efficient with the football. We want to be able to run it. We want to be able to throw it. We want to be able to do it all, and be physical in our approach. And just make plays. I think red zone touchdowns are all about guys making plays, and we've had some spectacular plays. I think about Tyler on the scramble. On the scramble touchdown. Last week he did a great job of just effort. Just great effort. And then Freddie Swain, him running out the back end over there, just hustling to get into the end zone was a special play. Super pumped for him, because he's been unbelievable since he's gotten here, and just put a lot of work into it, and the Zoom calls and all the time. And it's comes down to players. Thinking about Greg Olsen scoring a touchdown the week before, and Chris Carson, and so it's been really cool just to see how many guys have made plays down there.
Just one more on your offensive line. Ethan Persick's in the middle. On your left is some veterans. On your right is some new people. Just the ability of the balance that he's brought on there. Can you talk about his leadership there?
Yeah, I think Ethan's done a great job. He's kind of the unsung story. I think he's done a great job stepping in there and just has really led those guys up front, making, helping with the calls and getting guys to where they need to go and this and that. And me and him have spent a lot of time together over the years, but really this season in particular, we spent a lot of time together. So he's been a tremendous professional since day one. He was a great center when he played at LSU. I know he played multiple positions, but he did a really good job there. And I think, D. Lou has really done a tremendous job playing right guard. I mean, to step in as a rookie and play at the level that he's playing, no wonder why they won the national championship. Joe Burrow was sitting back there and letting it throw. So I think D. Lou has done a great job. I think Shell has stepped in as right tackle and done a tremendous job. He's so athletic, Shell. So he's super confident, knows what he's doing. He's really, really made a major difference too as well, and I think that's been great. And just the guys have worked really hard for it all.
Thank you.
Art Teal.
Russ, if you were given permission to script the first 15 plays of any game, free of coaching commentary and critique, what would it look like?
I help some. I help now some. Listen, I think that you want to get the ball, spread the ball around. You want to be able to run it. You want to be able to throw it. You want to be able to mix it in. You want to put a challenge in the defense. I'm a big believer in, just being kind of, aggressive in your approach. Not necessarily down the field necessarily, but just how you want to make the defense think in so many different ways and challenge their minds. To be able to process information and what does it look like and who's this, who's that. What are they trying to do today? And so mix it up and then so that's just kind of my thought. I think you want to get to a good start. That's always the key, though. You want to get to a good start. Those first 15 plays, really help dictate a lot of times the tone of the day. I think, in my opinion, and so you want to be great with those first 15.
How much of your input has changed from year one to now? How much are you contributing to the script?
Well, year one, I came in as a rookie. Just making sure I knew the plays and ready to roll. I think now, I can memorize a lot of all the plays off the top of my head and just all that stuff, and just try to get guys in the right positions. And Coach Shoddy and Austin Davis and Coach Canales and and the QB room, Gino and Danny, we've done a great job of just dialing everything in. So, I think it's exponentially grown just in terms of the opportunity, obviously, for me to be able to make a difference. I think my play has allowed that to happen, I think, but also over the years. And I think that's from year one to year two it grew, and then year 2 to 3 to 4 all the way now. So I feel really confident out there, obviously, in terms of the plays and calling them and doing all that stuff too, if when needed.
Brady.
Hey Russell, I'm wondering what it feels like when a deep throw leaves your hand, and if it's at all similar to when you're playing baseball and you really get a hold of a pitch and it hits the fat part of the bat and you just know you got a hold of it. Do you ever know when you're throwing a deep ball, like right when it leaves your hand, that it's going to be on the money?
Yeah, that's a great analogy, Brady. It's funny. I laugh because I think it's funny because like when you hit a home run and you hit the ball, you square up the baseball. They say when you square up a baseball, you don't feel it. It's just the ball, but you can, obviously the ball pops off the bat and everything else, and it's such a great feeling. It's one of the best feelings in the world. I think 3-point shooters would probably say, when it comes off their hand, guys like Steph Curry, they just know it's going in. That's how he starts going back the other way. He just kind of knows. I think that for me, when I throw the ball, you let one go, that you feel like it's you're going to be on the money. You just kind of know. And it just kind of, there's this kind of moment in time that you're like, here we go, boom, and it hits his hands. So I kind of, I guess I don't know, play music in my own head when the ball's in the air, and so it's always fun, especially when you got great receivers, the guys making plays like DK and Tyler and David Moore and Swain and all these guys that we can catch the football so well.
Jen.
Special teams question for you, since Michael Dixon was Special Teams Player of the Week. Obviously, that phase of the game is important, but what can you say about the effort and energy it brings, particularly now with the way the games and the stadiums are?
Jen, I think it's a great question because the reality is that, the game has changed. I think it's changed a lot drastically for us players. I think it's, there's guys out here throwing right now, just getting some extra work, and guys like Penny and Danny and Cody, and they're getting extra work, and it kind of feels like that when you're out there in a 75,000 stadium, nobody in the stands at all. except for you guys up there in the reporting box and and some referees on the field and some cameras, I guess, in the corner. So it feels pretty empty in terms of that space. So I think the special teams really help set the tone for the energy and the focus and what it takes to try to bring the juice to the game. I think that's really key. And our special teams are phenomenal. I think Coach Izzo's done a great job stepping up and stepping in. Obviously, we miss Schneids in that way, and I think Coach Izzo's done a tremendous job. He's always super professional, always on his stuff, always detailed. Played so long in the NFL, so he knows how to coach those guys up just right. And I think the players, it's always up to the players. It's always up to the players to set the tone. It's always up to the players to make their plays and do our thing. And we've been able to do that so far this season. And it's a long journey, but we're excited about who we are as a team, offensively, defensively, and special teams.
Jackie?
Hey, Russ, when you look at Dallas, what stands out to you about their defense?
Well, the defensive line, Jackie, is unbelievable. Obviously, there's a lot of guys I've had to go up against for many years, and they got Alden now. Obviously, I went against him my first few years in the NFL, and I'm just glad he's back in the NFL. He was such a great player. It's good to see him back out there. Just such a blessing for him to overcome all the challenges that he had to go through. But just it's great to see him back out there. Just so that's pretty cool. And then you obviously have DeMarcus Lawrence, who he's been a thing of. A lot of people fear him, obviously, in so many different ways because he can do so many different things, and just he's made so many plays over his career. Now they have Everson Griffin. They got so many different guys that can rotate and stuff on the defensive line. I think, from the linebacker position, obviously those guys are stars too. I know Van Der Esch is down right now, but Smith, he's such a great player. And Thomas too. He's physical, can run all over the field. Their secondary, I think the Diggs, the rookie, is really, really special. At the corner position, he can really do some good things. He seems to be all over the guys and stuff like that. And they have a plethora of guys that kind of step in and play a lot too as well. And so, I think for their defense, they just fly around. They seem to play with great effort. Obviously, I think the biggest thing in their defense is their defensive line, though. Obviously, the stars that they have on the defensive line.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Tim Booth.
Hey, Russ. You've led several fourth quarter comebacks in your career. Dak Prescott had a fairly significant one last week coming back to give Dallas a victory. I'm curious, do you take a look at other quarterbacks and study the film of how they approach late game situations, and is there anything you try and pull from what others have done to help you in those type of situations?
Yeah, I think the thing that Dak does such a great job, and is he remains poised, he remains confident. He seems to have always done that over his career. I've gotten to know him, a little bit over the years, and I just got a lot of respect for how he approaches the game. Honestly, he's a competitor, and so. He's one of the best guys in the game, I think, in terms of how he plays the game, and even those tight moments and comeback moments, he's been able to do a great job with those. So, I think in terms of my approach and personally, and who I study and what I study, I think I love just watching ball. I don't care if it's football, basketball, baseball. You guys know me. I love all sports. So anytime there's tough moments, tough challenges to overcome, adversity, whatever, I look forward to those moments. So, I'm personally, whenever I'm watching a game, I'm trying to find those moments and the moment that it may be in the second quarter that turned the game, and how do you find that and how do you capture that? And it may have been that timeout, or it may have been that conversation, or it may have been that big shot, or whatever it may be, or that big throw. And so I think that's really key. And I think for me personally, I just try to remain neutral. I always tell you guys that, but it's the truth. I just try to remain neutral in the midst of it all.
Bob?
Hey, Russ. A lot's been made that you've never received an MVP vote. Is that something you've paid attention to or care about at all? Or
I don't want a vote. I think more importantly, I want to win. And I think obviously MVP is a special award. This is the best football players in the world. There's so many great guys. I think about guys like Lamar last year. It was unbelievable last year. Such a great player. Guys like Patrick Mahomes and some other greats, obviously, that still play this game, and Tom and Drew. And I think for me, I want to be regarded as one of the best to ever play this game. To be honest with you, I think it's part of the process, and hopefully, I can, win enough games and do enough special things as a team to be able to do that. It's a team award, really. I think, in terms of the MVP, it's really a special award because it's everybody's involved in it, and hopefully I can be a part of that, and hopefully we can be a part of that as a team.
Greg?
Hi, sorry.
Yep.
Russ, how big of an advantage is the no crowd noise? How much is it helping you personally, quarterbacks across the NFL, you think, and offensive?
I don't think it helps, offensively, really, to be honest with you. Kind of. It's kind of like practice, honestly, just to be honest with you, Greg. You guys come out to practice all the time. You guys hear how loud it is at practice. It's about the same. I would say practice is almost even louder, a little bit, louder. But what I would say is it kind of helps the defense in a way because they can kind of hear a little bit more at times, depending on where you're playing and how it works. Our stadium, and the thing about crowd noise, obviously, is our stadium. It is the best stadium in the world, and so when you hear those fans, it really makes it difficult on the other team on the offense, for us in our stadium. But for me personally, there's not really any other stadium I can go to that's any louder than ours. So it doesn't really affect us and on offense as much.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Quick follow-up. Did you have a meeting about the Breonna Taylor decision? Pete Carroll and Bobby Wagner mentioned that yesterday. You did that.
Yeah, we're talking about that tonight. Actually, we're having a pretty a conversation about that tonight, right after practice and stuff. So. Yeah, so it's pretty tough on all of us, obviously, and just seeing that not much has changed, but things take time, sometimes, and we need it to happen now. But I think it's a process, and it's definitely painful to see something like that, and a young black woman just get killed like that, and nothing happened. It's pretty sad.
Joe Fan.
Russ, Dak was in the headlines, talking about his battles with mental health, and his bout with depression and all that. Obviously, Skip Bayless made his comments and made it go completely viral. But I'm just curious if you are aware of those comments, what you think about that topic in general, but just more so guys speaking out about topics that are important to them and not being afraid of what other people might think about them potentially being vulnerable in that sense.
I love Dak's courage because most men are afraid to talk about some of the things that they've gone through and the challenges, and especially in terms of mental health and everything. And so, he's a tremendous football player, and I think a lot of people look up to him, all over the country, I'm sure. And I know that to be able to talk about some of the things that he's gone through personally, with his family. He's gone through some tough things I couldn't imagine. I can imagine some of them because I've gone through some of them, but some of them I couldn't imagine either. And I know this off season's been tough on him. Probably spiritually, emotionally, and everything else. And he's held his head high and been able to still be a great football player in the midst of it all. And that's courage. That's ability to talk about things that a lot of people don't want to talk about. And I think to be able to, to me, I think what really shows strength is the ability to overcome and also, have the courage enough to talk through it. And I think a lot of people don't like to talk about issues or things. And I think a lot of times, to be able to do that and have the ability to communicate that so eloquently like you did, it's honorable, and so I pray that the world can. I think mental health is such an important thing, as you guys know. That's why I did Limitless Minds as a business. It's so important to talk about just the mentality of how we approach things. And you guys know Trevor, my brother, Harry, and DJ. We work with some of the best companies in the world and people in the world just because of all the things that people have to go through. And I think that's a real reality that there's pain. And what's going on with COVID and what's happening with, in America right now. Especially racially, I think also too, you guys know I see kids with cancer all the time, and I always kind of tell families that, the reality is that, the families that can still remain in the midst of everything going on, remain in love and forgiveness and joy and just communicate, and speak to each other, and I think that really helps to make a difference, and I think that's a key part.
All right. Thank you, Russ. Jamal will be out shortly.
Okay, thank you guys. Go Hawks.